Hey everyone, and welcome back to Battleborn. I've got a new build for you today. This one is from Montana, and I call it Icy Hot Hot Hot. Well, not as good of a delivery as Montana has, but you get the point. We're going to be using his Hailstorm bullets to slow enemies down while simultaneously keeping his minigun heat as high as possible to increase his attack damage and his accuracy. And when combined with the gear we're going to choose, which is mostly attack speed and attack damage, it's going to just be ridiculous long-range damage. But don't worry, we're still Montana. We're still going to be super tanky. We're going to have a super high health pool. And we, of course, have our abilities to reduce damage. We've still got that ultimate and Hailstorm to keep us alive. So don't worry, we're not altering him too much. We're just improving his offensive capabilities a lot. Alright, so if this sounds like your kind of build, let's jump into it. Let's show you the Helix choices. Level 1, we are going to the right with Weatherman. That's going to increase our accuracy when we use Hailstorm. Very, very useful, keeping people slowed and getting in more damage on them. Alright, level 2, we are going to the right again with Push It, Push It, Push It. That's going to increase the knockback on Lumberjack Dash. And it knocks them back so far that if you hit them with Lumberjack Dash, it's highly likely they're going to hit a wall somewhere. So it just makes it much more likely that you're going to stun them when you hit them. Alright, level 3, we're going to the left with Pumped Up. That's going to increase our maximum health by 360. Now, you could go to the right with Gatling Grease, but I don't really find it better than the health. It makes it so the minigun doesn't spin up anymore, but the spin up time is so short that I don't really find it that big of a benefit. I'd much rather have the 360 health. So that's what I go with on the left. Level 4, we're going with the Cooler on the left. That is going to increase or decrease our minigun heat every time we use every shot we fire with Hailstorm active. It's very important at this level. Later on, that won't really matter, but it's so much better than Firestorm because we do not want to lose our slow on Hailstorm. So Firestorm, not good as far as I'm concerned. I think it's terrible. So definitely go to the left with the Cooler. All right, level 5. This is a big one. We're going to go up the middle with Focused Fire. That means that the hotter Montana's minigun is, the better his accuracy, which is incredibly effective. His circle for his minigun is really huge, and decreasing that by 25% is a big deal. Plus, when you have Hailstorm active, your accuracy is even better. So having high minigun heat plus Hailstorm active means he is incredibly accurate, and it's just nasty. It's so much damage on such a small, concentrated area. Alright, level 6, we're going with Feeling the Burn. This is monumentally important. You can continue firing once the minigun overheats, and it's just going to do damage to you. And that's going to make all of your shots max damage, plus with that last Helix choice we made, it means your accuracy is ridiculously good. Alright, level 7, we are going with Ice Age on the right. That's going to increase Hailstorm's duration by 2 seconds, which keeps that slow on longer, plus it keeps your ridiculously good accuracy going for another 2 seconds. Very, very effective. Alright, level 8. This one, I go back and forth with all the time. Right now, I'm settling on going to the left with Too Big to Fail. That decreases Lumberjack Dash's cooldown time. But you could just as easily go with Crocodile, or however you say that, on the right, to increase the damage on the dash. The dash doesn't have a long cooldown, but sometimes I really like having it available quicker, so I lean more to the left, but either one of these is a good choice. Alright, level 9, we are going to the left with Bullet Buff. That is really nasty. You shouldn't be missing at all with your Hailstorm active if your minigun heat is high, because your accuracy is going to be so good. And now the slow effect is doubled. So they're just hardly moving at all while you just wail on them with ridiculous hailstorm damage. So definitely, easily the best choice of the three if you're going for damage. If you wanted to be tankier, you could definitely go with Icy Resolve, and that makes your hailstorm damage reduction huge. So it's really what you're looking for, but I go for damage, so I go for Bullet Buff. Alright, then level 10, I go to the right with Instant Payback. That's gonna make it so Mansformation's damage reduction, when it's active, it reflects back enemy fire. And I can't tell you how many people have killed themselves on me, because most people only really realize that Isaac has a reflect. Most don't realize that Montana has one at max level. So you can catch people off guard all the time with this one. Very, very nice. Alright, there are the Helix choices I make. Let me show you my gear. Now with the last 3 builds, I've been using this gear set. It's been working out really well for me, and it just so happens to work really well for Montana. So this is what I'm using. I'm going with the Survivor's Regrowth Serum, 7 health regen per second, and 4.2 health regen per second after surviving for 3 minutes. I really like it because I often shoot the minigun, once it's overheated and it's doing damage to me, and this just makes it so I can get back my health. So that's why I like having regen on him, but you could definitely go with something else if you don't shoot overheated all that often. Alright, the second item I go with, of course, the Eviscerating Endoskeletal Graft. Attack damage and attack speed. Always nice. And the third item is the Vow of Zealous Fury. This one comes from Rendane on the Heliophage. It's got attack speed, it's got critical hit damage, and it's got stacking attack speed every time you use an ability, up to 5 stacks. So it'll give you just shy of 8% extra attack speed from those stacks. So about 15.5 to 16% attack speed on that one item. Alright, so this is the gear set I use on Incursion and Meltdown. If I'm taking this build into Capture, I go with this set right here, which is much cheaper. I've got this Artificial Vitae, or however you say that, to give me 7 health regen per second for 420 crystals. I've got this Hurricane item to give me 8.4% attack speed. And then I've got this freebie, the Erratic Internal Capacitor. Increases my maximum shield strength by 140 and decreases my reload speed, but that does not affect Montana at all, so ignore that negative on that item. It's just free shield strength. Alright, so there you go. There is the Helix choices I make and the gear setup. So let's jump to some clips and I'll explain to you how to play this build as you level up. So Montana is not a very complex character. Doing well with him is mostly about positioning and knowing when to use your abilities. You should always be looking to stun people with your Lumberjack dash, and I almost always follow that up with a Hailstorm, so it's difficult for them to get away. At the lower levels, you'll need to manage your minigun heat, so try not to get that heat too high because you don't want to overheat right as you're about to finish someone off. If your heat's starting to get high and you need to finish whatever you're doing, you can always pop Hailstorm to slow it down. At level 2, you get the increased push distance on your Lumberjack dash, and that makes landing the stun even easier because even distant walls can be used to stun. Only people with great awareness of both your position and the map's layout will be able to prevent you from tossing them into a wall. One of the mistakes I made early on when learning Montana was holding on to the Lumberjack dash for too long, waiting for the perfect opportunity to use it. I found much better success when I started to use it early and often because of how quick the cooldown is and how useful it is to get an early stun on someone. You can save it for people trying to escape, but usually my Hailstorm will prevent them from getting away from me anyway, so I'd rather try to overwhelm them and get the kill or push them out of the area. Now some people like to hold on to the Lumberjack dash as an escape, but really as Montana you should be the one pushing people out of an area. And if things get really hairy, you can just run and pop Hailstorm to survive if it's up. And surviving becomes much easier at level 3 because you pick up that big health boost. So you've got the tools to survive. Get in there, push people around. At level 4, you pick up the Helix that causes your hailstorm bullets to reduce your minigun heat, which is really nice to prevent overheating. Overheating won't be much of a concern in a couple levels, but in the short term, being able to use Hailstorm to manage your heat is a really great addition. I'll usually use my Hailstorm right before I'm about to overheat so I get max damage on my shots while it's active. And don't forget, when Hailstorm is active, your accuracy on it is much better. So you get the increased accuracy plus the increased damage because of your heat level. Level 5 is a big level. You get your ultimate, which is a great way to keep yourself alive in a rough situation. Just be sure to use it early, as popping it off while you're almost dead won't really help you. You want to prevent the damage, not react after you've taken most of it. Also, on level 5, you get the increased accuracy on your minigun based on your heat level. It may not seem like much in numbers and the size of the targeting reticle, but trust me, it's a huge difference, especially if you're using your hailstorms right before you hit max heat, like I mentioned earlier, because those two accuracy increases are amazing together. Those two combined will make the targeting reticle much smaller, and you can put in some amazing damage at long range, especially against those bigger targets like Cleese, Eldragon, Isaac, Toby, Atticus, or even other Montanas. It works great against just about any target, but it's especially effective against those big guys because you're going to be landing every single bullet. Level 6 lets you continue shooting when you're overheating, and it's amazing. Because you'll be at max heat, you'll maintain your increased accuracy, and nobody will be able to withstand your bullets without a shield or being a smaller target jumping around a lot to make you miss. This means that in a lot of situations, you'll be able to stand your ground and spray bullets at your target, and they'll have a really hard time returning fire. We're also using a regen item with this build, and that will help you to continue applying the pressure while replenishing your self-inflicted damage if there's no healer on your team. Keep in mind too that your shield takes the damage first instead of your health. So what you can do is wait until your shield is depleted, then you pop Hailstorm, and that will take you just below overheating and cause your shield to regenerate if you're not receiving any damage. Now, it won't let you fire forever without taking damage, but you can fire nearly endlessly using Hailstorm this way, and I've used it to rip sentries to shreds in hardly any time at all without doing a ton of damage to myself. Now, level 7 makes this even easier too because your Hailstorm duration increases by 2 seconds. Not to mention, it makes your extremely accurate shots last longer, which tears players to shreds. Level 8 gets you the decreased cooldown on Lumberjack Dash, which can certainly come in handy at times. It's not always handy, but man, sometimes it will save you in a bad situation. Level 9 increases the effectiveness of your slow and makes it incredibly difficult for the enemy players to get away from you. It was hard before, but now it's nearly impossible. If you land Lumberjack Dash on them to initiate, you're going to get a lot of kills after this point, especially with your ludicrous attack speed on a super accurate minigun. Level 10 gets the Reflect on your ultimate, which doesn't really change how you use it. It only makes it more effective since players can now kill themselves on you. Well, there you have it, the icy hot build for Montana. I've been having a ridiculous amount of success with this build. I hope you enjoy it, and be sure to let me know how it works out for you in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.